Hi everyone. So we talk about the benefits of the opportunities of globalization, right? Access to large market, access to the cheap labor, cost reduction, tax reductions, and everything. Okay, now we'll look at this case study: mobile phones. So global sales of smartphones have grown sharply in recent years. The growth in sales in handsets have been between 2009 and 2015. We can show this in figure. 2009, 172 million, and then I can see now we spoke about 1.4 billion handsets. They are selling 2050. This is 5 years ago story, right? And the global market is dominated in three large multinational corporations: Samsung, Apple, and Huawei. In their the you can see that's the main like a large corporate multinationals in mobile phone sector in that time. However, the respectively in recent years, market leaders of Samsung and Apple have lost market share for emerging companies such as those from China, right? Like Huawei and everything. But there were some issues in recent past in Huawei. But I'm talking until 2015 story, right? So they're asking, work out the number of mobile phones sold by Samsung in 2015, assuming it had a market share of 21.4%. So this answer, you can see the Samsung, they are enjoying a market share. At that time, they say Samsung 2015 market share 21.4%. So then you can do a small working. What to do? We can say the Samsung. We can see this is the giving handset sales in users. So 1,424 million, right? 1,424 million they are selling in 2015. So this 2015, the Samsung market share was is 21.4%. So we can do total. They're asking what work out the number of phones sold by Samsung. Then what we have to do? We have to calculate 21.4% from 1,424. This is the total handset sale, total sales, right? Total sales. And then out of this total sales, the Samsung one, their market share is 21.4%. So what you have to do? Take the 21.4% from 1,424. If you do that calculation, simple calculation, 1,424 multiplied by in your calculator 21.4%, the answer coming 304.736. 304.74, we can say 304.736 million. So out of 1,424, Samsung 21% means 304 million. 304 million, 304 point. So it's better to give like 3 decimal point because it's millions. No? So 304.736. Easy calculation. So I'll share these answers with you after this. So second question, this is small 2-marker calculation. And then what opportunities might globalization provide for mobile phone producers that Samsung, what opportunities that globalization provide for mobile phone producers such as Samsung, Apple and Huawei? Give 2 opportunities. This is the answer. Very good point on our discussion, previous discussion, that the opportunities of globalization, as I told you, there are opportunities: tax reduction, cost reductions, labor cost reductions, and then large market share, everything. So asking to analyze question, always you must be able to at least 2 points must be able to explain and analyze properly. So what kind of opportunities are there for the mobile phone producers such as Samsung, Apple, and Huawei? Give 2 opportunities in the analysis. So I'll read some sample answer, then you can get some idea. You can see one important opportunity that producers like Samsung, Apple, and Huawei might benefit from its lower cost. Lower cost. If businesses are able to grow by increasing output to a larger market, they may be able to lower their cost. They may be able to lower their cost. This is because as firms grow, they can exploit economies of scale. They can exploit economies of scale. These are the cost reductions that firms can enjoy as they grow. With lower cost, now they analyze it. Look at the development. They're explaining that this will be by operating global market, they can reduce the cost. Now we are going to explain in developing that answer. These are the cost reductions that firms can enjoy as they grow. With lower cost, business will become more competitive. So this will leads to lower cost will leads to more competitive. The business become more competitive. This might help them to win a larger share of the market. This might help them to win a larger share of the market. Look at the links, strands, more competitive. They can win large share of the market, increase sales and profit margin. Increase sales and profit margin. Look at the strands, look at the links. Because of the low cost, you can be more competitive and you can be access to increase your market share and increase your profit margin. So give some application. In this case, with sales over 300 million sets, just the previous question we calculated that Samsung actually able to take their market share 304 million. In this case, Samsung should be able to exploit economies of scale by selling over 300 million of handsets. Right? 304 million, it's a big amount, not like one or two, it's a million. After 1 million, 304 million. 300 million means a big amount. Imagine if you say one average price like $1,000, right? One phone, 1,000, like Apple phones are like going like that. Right? 1,000 into 304 million, imagine there are billions of money they can earn from selling these units like that. So that's the first advantage I told you. Analyze one point, cost reduction. Because of the cost reduction, what are things happen? You can be more competitive. You can increase your market share. You can increase your profit margin. In this case, given an application, Samsung will be able to sell 304 million handsets in 2015. Therefore, they will be able to exploit economies of scale by selling these 304 million handsets. Cost reduction, one para. Go to second para. Second opportunity I'm talking now. Another important benefit of globalization to such businesses is to access huge market. Access huge markets. Clearly, global markets are considerably larger than domestic markets. Global markets are considerably larger than domestic markets. If a business has access to several billion of customers rather than say 40 million, this provides huge opportunities. This provides huge opportunities to increase sales. Therefore, access to global markets provide growth opportunities for businesses. This should result in much higher sales in revenue and increase in profit. So the second advantage they're mentioning, access to globalization, is access. You can access to huge markets. By access to huge market, look at the development. Domestic, we can access the much bigger market than domestic market. For example, in Sri Lanka, we have only 20 million population. But if you go to India, they have 1,200 million population, like 1.2 billion population. So more than Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka only 20, they have 1,200. So look at the comparison. A small country. India is a big country. In China, they have 2 billion population, right? So then, as a result of that, you can say again economies of scale. Again, you can say, let's say the application like it says 40 million. This provide huge opportunities to increase sales. Larger market, higher sales. As a result of that, higher sales revenue and increased profit. Strands are there. Try to develop strands. What will happen? What will lead to as a result of that? So this is paragraph. So this answer I'll share with you, right? So okay, now let's move on to this is end of this case study. Let's move on to the other most important things today's lesson: threats of globalization to business. Threats of globalization to business organization. So we have to talk about the both sides, because in evaluation questions can become like some even analyze questions can become analyze the drawbacks or analyze impact questions. So in analyze impact question, you have to write one positive and one negative. One positive or one negative. You have to balance the answer. Or sometimes 12-mark question, this can become evaluate the impact of globalization. 12-mark question sometimes. So globalization question, if you have 12 mark, you have enough points to write, right? So 12 mark, you know the structure. Start with the definition, right? And then you have to write the 2 paragraphs, because there's a new point called not the BLT model. There's called MELIBA. MELIBA. Make a point, link it to case study, explain the point. MELIBA. Make the point, explain the point, link it to case study. Write the impact on the business. Write the impact on the business area. Either it can be marketing, either HR, either finance, either production, operation management, everything. There are some new methods of writing. I'll explain to you like that one properly again. MELIBA point. So definition, two Meliba points, that two advantages, and one however point, one disadvantage, that's also another Meliba point, and then you need a conclusion paragraph. So altogether, 4 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs, conclusion, two advantages, one disadvantage, and conclusion. For the conclusion, we have another model called AJKO, Anthony Joshua Knockout Challenge. So AJKO is a new models. I think, right? You also familiarize with this. We have another like a couple of weeks are there to practice. So answer the question in conclusion that you have to write. Answer the question with asking the globalization. Do it have an impact on the globalization on business? You can say yes. There has a huge impact on because of the globalization. There's impact for the business organization. Answer the question and justify that how it happened, how they have impact because of this, because of this. Summarize the point that you got before. Support that answer, right? And then write overall, right? That line overall. That's from the globalization. There is a positive or negative. However, it depends on this. However, it depends on the government. However, depends on the government commitment to the face the globalization. If government committed only, the globalization can flourish. At the end, give your conclusion nicely, the paragraph. These methods I'll explain you, the Meliba points and the AJKO models right? Because these days, the systems actually changing, new methods are there, new models. BLT model is just a way of explaining. Even Meliba points, inside the Meliba, you can explaining part, you can write some at the end, like a BLT models, because leads to therefore, like that sentence patterns you can build in. So these are new sentence patterns. The recently, like this Excel and other exam boards actually developed recently. So definitely you can go to higher level, either definitely A stars, 8s and 9s you can definitely achieve by to write like that, right? So the threats of globalization, the disadvantage side of globalization, you're starting the competition. Higher competition, despite of the benefit opportunities, there are globalization brings business a number of threats and difficulties, also challenges faced by the business from the globalization, high competition. Earlier, because of the before globalization, no one is there, only you. Yeah, in domestic market, you like a king. But because of the globalization, countries open their borders, people start importing from other countries, then what happened? Higher competition, very high competition. So then you have to make a strategy in order to face this competition. As a result of globalization, more companies around the world try to sell their goods and services in an increasing number of countries. Some businesses will have their survival threatened. The companies that are able to exploit globalization are strong, well-resourced, and influential businesses. They are mentioned in the case study. This can use their resources by investing heavily in marketing. Right, you have to do heavily in marketing. Like they're giving some example, like some cases, whole industries have been wiped out by overseas competitors. Right, they are giving the example the growth of the Chinese market. As a result of that, what happened? Manufacturing has resulted in declining manufacturing in the whole range of countries in the West. As the pace of globalization accelerates, the prospects of increased competition is the most worrying threat for most businesses, both large and small, because the countries like China, they have the capacity to sell everything at low cost to access to those countries. They can sell like a half cost what they are producing. As a result of that, the way entire industry there's threat of wiped out because they can't compete with the large that economies of scale countries like China, the factory of Asia. That's why Chinese economic power. That's why some countries they ban, but we don't need your item. We can produce our items. Right. So second disadvantage, the second threat from globalization is international takeovers. M&A, mergers and acquisitions. This is we call a predator or hostile takeover. Look at this word. You have to familiarize this word. If you're learning this word first time, right, make sure you know this word. What is a predator? Predator is a business that tries to use another business, another's weakness to get advantage. Predator. A business that tries to use another's weakness to get the advantage. So as a result of that, hostile takeovers can be happen. Hostile takeovers is like a takeover by force from the share market without your knowledge, without your intention. Hostile takeover, that the company being taken over does not want to agree to. They don't want to sell. They don't want to uh, sell the company, but you know, indirectly they are taking shares, they are buying shares, purchasing shares, and one day they can acquire a company if they have more than 50% of the shares. Hostile takeovers happen when the company is taken over against its will. For example, 2016, Paris-based company called Sanofi made a hostile bid for US biotech from Medivation, biotech firm called Medivation. So, like one example only, there are so many hostile takeovers are there in the world, like taking like that, uh, not intentionally. Sometimes they are taking like as a strategically they are taking over another company through the share market, continuously purchasing, and at the end you are going to take over that company. Look at the last disadvantage of the globalization: increased risk of external shocks because of the you are depending on one country now because of the globalization. You have to the interdependence become very the country will tie with another country. So if something happened in the USA, that shock will comes to Sri Lanka as well. If something happened in the China, that will impact to us as well because of the increased risk of external shock. You can see nowadays what happened as a result of the globalization. They pose threat to business. This means that event in the company economy like to affect in other economies. For example, UK leaving like that. So, right? Give me 1 second.